welcome to episode 10 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League, presented by Changeup. I'm Matt Satilli. I am joined by my co-host, Owen Shadrick. Pleasure to see you, sir. How's everything going for you?
Everything's good. We hit double digits. This has been fantastic so far, and I'm pumped for this interview. We're 3 days away from opening day. Couldn't be happier.
Yes, we are officially playing baseball this week, July 2nd. Get amped. And Owen, you just mentioned it. It's episode 10. We've made it to double digits. We've had some fantastic interviews, and we've heard some great things back from some of our guests recently. What's been your favorite memory and just your favorite part of the podcast so far?
That's tough because all these interviews have been fantastic. I'll give two things. Number one, the Red Sox getting more favorite teams over the Yankees. That's been great. But episode 9, having Cam Cook say that dill pickle seeds were his favorite, that's special.
Yeah, you were itching for that. You had the dill pickle seeds ready in hand to show, and I'm happy for you. That was a big moment. A big moment. I would say so far, just hearing some of the baseball memories and some of the experiences that these guys have, like hearing that, for example, Brad Smith got a ring from Jerry Reinsdorf and that he was part of the White Sox organization. Andy shared a really cool memory coming up this year, and just hearing what the Futures League means to everyone. I mean, this is such a special league, and once again, credit to Joe Palucci, our boss and commissioner, and everyone in the organizations and all the local health officials who've made this possible. We're so close to playing, and we finally start on Thursday. So we got a great interview with Andy Theriot, the manager of the Brockton Rox. So let's get on into that. Here is Andy Theriot. At this time, we now welcome on a very special guest. It is Andy Theriot, the field manager of the Brockton Rox. Andy, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I've been enjoying all the episodes so far. I don't think I've missed one yet. You guys are doing a great job. It's been great for the league. You guys are doing a terrific job.
Thank you so much. Great to hear that as always. And we're hitting double digits today. It's our 10th episode, so great to have you on. And after Ray Garino, you're our second manager, so we're starting to make our rounds around the front offices and around the managerial ranks too.
Great. Yeah, Ray's interview was great. It was really nice to hear from the guys in New Britain. I haven't had a chance to meet those guys or talk to him yet, but Ray seems like a great guy, and excited to get some games going with New Britain and get a chance to meet him. He seems like he's going to be great for the league. Yeah,
that was a fantastic interview, and getting right into it here, I attended your guys' first practice of the season. You guys looked pretty good and ready to go. How did it feel coming back out onto the practice field, and how have practices progressed since?
Oh, I felt great. I described it to someone the other day. It was like a combination of your first day of Little League practice and Christmas morning. The smiles were huge. I mean, the guys, just to get their cleats back on and get on the field, the sound of the baseball, off the bat was great. So it was fun. That first day was fantastic. For me, it was 3 months to the day. My college team, we had played a game on March 15th. I think that was June 15th when we had our first workout. So it was 3 months to the day for me. So it felt really good. And then transitioning into what we've been doing the last week and a half or so, it's been great. We had our first 2 live sessions earlier this week. Really excited about our pitching staff. I think we had 4 or 5 guys that were at 90 miles an hour or above. So that's encouraging to see. Hitters are a little bit behind, which is to be expected. It's been anywhere from 3 to 4 months for those guys, but practices have been great. It's been exciting for sure.
Have you guys gone full squad yet? Because I know when I went there, it was pitchers separate from hitters.
Yeah, so we were able to, this week, we got the approval from the Board of Health in the city of Brockton. So we've been able to have full workouts, which was great. The first couple were tough because it would only be the pitchers, and then it would only be the hitters. Those guys were able to get their work in, but now for the last week or so, we've been going full squad workouts, and it's been great for the guys to get a chance to meet one another. There's a lot of guys that were former travel ball teammates, high school teammates. So they were a little bit surprised to see some of the guys that they had played with years prior come back, and we're excited to get going now that we've got everyone.
So how do you navigate having to socially distance the players and kind of doing multiple rotations of guys coming in and coming out? Like, do you try to alternate those groups? Are you beyond the point of having to really, separate the guys into multiple fractions, or, how does that factor in addition to managing all the logistics of trying to get the best baseball team out there?
Yeah, I think we've sort of moved past that point, but we're still being extremely cognizant of it. When we're working out, some of the pitchers are out in the bullpen. If we can, we use both dugouts right now because we're obviously the only team on the field. But once we're on the field, we're playing baseball, but we're just trying to remain extremely cognizant of what's going on around us. I do think that there was a ruling that came down from the league earlier this week that there aren't going to be any visiting clubhouses this year. So I think one of the things that we're going to do as a team is we're going to utilize both clubhouses at Campanelli. So that way we have 37 guys instead of in one clubhouse. We'll be able to break it up with about 18 or 19 guys in each. So that way we're keeping our social distance. I know that as far as the bus rides, we're going to wear our masks on the bus. And our ownership group has been terrific. They're talking about possibly even using 2 buses for us so that we can spread out. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we're responsible. We know how lucky we are that we're getting a chance to play baseball this summer. So we're doing everything we can. We've probably, I don't want to say broken some rules, but we've probably made a mistake here or there where we're too close to one another. But that's the world we're living in. We're all trying to make that adjustment mid-game, I'd say.
Yeah, it's all so new. So, I mean, a few mistakes here and there isn't the worst thing in the world. Everybody forgets their mask when they walk in
Right.
or whatever. So we heard from Joe Palucci a couple episodes ago talking about the competition in this league and how it's so great. How do you plan to enter into the summer and try to balance out playing time between the very talented squad that you have rolling out this summer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know yet. It's going to be we're learning a little bit about some guys here during the live sessions. I think for me, just my previous experience, I'm always about making sure that every guy is going to get an opportunity to set themselves up to be successful. Ultimately, I'm competitive. The guys that we have are all competitive. That's why we bring them in. So we are going to play to win, but especially those first 15 to 20 games, we might almost roll out a new starting 9 every night. Pitchers are going to be extremely limited. Probably the first 3 times through the rotation, they're only going to go 2 to 3 innings. I think we have a responsibility to the players and to their programs that sent them out to us to make sure that they get an opportunity to get better. So we're going to play to win, but we're also going to make sure that guys are being put in positions to be successful while maintaining their health. We don't want to send a pitcher out for 6 or 7 innings his first start after he hasn't thrown for 4 or 5 months. So it's probably going to be a process that we're trying to figure out as we go.
And you mentioned it earlier, you guys had a terrific pitching staff last year. You have a handful of returning players, including Nick Sinicola. We had on the podcast recently. What are you expecting from him and the rest of the players who are returning to Brockton to kind of set the standard and introduce some of the new guys and just, retain that success you guys had in the regular season last year?
Yeah, Nick's a great guy to have come back. You're bringing back the guy who was voted the top pro pitching prospect in the league. I think he finished second in the league in strikeouts. Was off to a fantastic start this spring with Maine. He ended up leading the America East in strikeouts in the abbreviated season. He looked phenomenal in his live session yesterday. Guys gravitate to him. He's a quiet guy. He's a quiet leader, but the guys really gravitate to them. He leads by example. We have Justin Garcia, who played for us last summer. He looked terrific in his live session. Chris Knight is another guy who finished the summer with us last year. So to have those 3 guys come back off of a pitching staff that was one of the stronger staffs in the league last year, it's encouraging. I think those guys, having navigated their way through a summer before, they know what I expect of them. They know what to expect of me. So I think it's going to be really encouraging to watch them throw the ball this summer.
Before we return to our interview with Andy Theriault, we wanted to share a message from one of our sponsors, Changeup. We're excited to announce a brand new partnership this season with Changeup, a cutting-edge, player-centric pitch tracking solution promoting health and safety, allowing coaches to capture and analyze a proprietary set of performance analytics, and helping pitchers maximize their potentials. Coming to baseball programs around the world this year, Changeup eliminates the administrative overhead associated with adhering to pitch count regulations, allowing coaches to focus on baseball. Coaches and parents at all levels, Little League, AAU, high school, and the collegiate level, take notice. Changeup is the clear choice to ensure your pitchers aren't being thrown too much or too often and are getting proper rest. Together, we can make this great game even better by protecting arms and ensuring compliance with pitching guidelines. For more information, visit Changeup's website, www.changeup.io. That's www.change-up.io. Changeup. Every pitch counts. We now return to our interview with Andy Theriault. Yeah, and with those returning guys, you also have plenty of new guys coming to the Rox this summer. Can you give us a little preview of what we should expect from the new additions to the Rox this season?
Yeah, I think we're going to be very athletic. That's for sure. We have a couple of guys that can play all over the diamond. I think our offense last year, I want to say we might have led the league in quite a few of the offensive categories, runs scored possibly. We're probably not going to be that type of team again this year. We have quite a few young guys. We went high school heavy with some high-end potential talent, but there's also going to be some room for some growing pains there. I expect us to play very strong defense. We've looked really good in the live sessions. We have 3 or 4 guys that are capable of handling the shortstop position, so I'll feel confident putting them at second base or third base. I think pitching is going to be the strength, but there's a handful of guys. I think, Jake Geloff is a name that a lot of people might recognize. We had his brother Zach with us 2 summers ago in Brockton. Zach was just named a second-team All-American at Virginia this year after his sophomore year. His younger brother Jake is going to be with us this summer. He's going to Virginia next year, penciled in to play some short and some second for them. So he's a guy that we're really looking for some exciting stuff from. We have Joel Lara from Franklin Pierce, who's going to play center field for us. Joel was off to a fantastic start for Pierce. His on-base percentage was like .520 this spring. So that's a guy that we're going to pencil into that leadoff spot. And if he's getting on at a .520 clip, I think that might help the offense a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of encouraging young talent that we have. So we're looking forward to seeing those guys.
And last year you mentioned the stats. You guys led in triples, home runs, slugging percentage, and OPS. So it'll be nice to see which categories you're leading in at the end of this summer.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the boppers that we had last year. We had some of those guys like a Gabby Cruz and a Mitch D'Onofrio and Gabe Giosa who were, it was like every night we were hitting 2 or 3 home runs. But I think I could see us leading the league in triples again. We obviously have the big gaps there at Campanelli. That played into us leading the league in triples last year probably. We do have some burners. We got some guys that can really fly on the bases. So I do think that's, the doubles and triples are something that are gonna probably come in bunches for us. And we traditionally aren't a team that runs a lot, but I could see us maybe swiping some more bags this year with some of those fleet-footed guys on the bases.
And I was in Westfield last summer. I remember seeing you out there as a base coach, if I remember correctly. We talked to Ray. He said that his strategy is going to lean more on the aggressive side. Are you going to be returning to the base paths, and how do you kind of factor that in, especially considering your team's speed?
Yeah, I'll be back out at third base again this summer. I'm aggressive by nature. Balls in the gap. I love guys scoring from first base. I like to see us go first to third. Just in general, I think pressure is a good thing, but even more so in summer ball when, we're not taking IO every single day. We're not working on relays and cuts, which is, maybe that's to the detriment of the game, but I do think that it's good to get guys out there running the bases. And I think, last year we probably only had 1 or 2 guys thrown out at home from first. And I sent probably double digits. It's just by my nature, I'm just aggressive. If we got guys that can run the bases, I want to put pressure on the defense. If we hit a ball out to the left center gap at Campanelli, it's 385 feet. So let's make that outfielder make a 200-foot throw and then make that middle infielder make a strong relay throw. So you need 3 good things to happen in order to cut us down at the plate. So it's something that I've always kind of been as a base coach, and we're probably going to lean in that direction again this summer as well.
So you touched on it earlier, talking about the combination of Christmas morning and first Little League practice and the 3-month hiatus. What does it mean for you to get back out there on the diamond and coach these players who had their seasons cut short in the spring and who are just itching to play baseball again?
It means the world. It's something that I don't take for granted. I was really wondering what I was going to do with my summer if we didn't have baseball. I'm a guy that, my entire life, spring and summer has been baseball. And by mid-April, it was like I was ready to snap. Everything was agitating me. And just knowing that we're one of the few leagues across the country that's going to get an opportunity to be out there, it's something that we're not taking for granted. It's something that I personally am not taking for granted. I love collegiate summer baseball. There are a lot of people that have a lot of bad things to say about it. It's summer ball and it's not taken serious. But I think by and large, for the most part, 99% of these guys are out here because they want to compete, they want to get better, they want to measure themselves against some of the best players in the country. It just means the world to be able to be out there on the field with those guys and watch them go about their craft. And I'm really excited to get going here soon. It's going to be an even more fun summer than it typically is.
Yeah, staying on the sentimental track a little bit, what's it like to coach the Rox, and what does the FCBL mean to you as a whole?
Yeah, it means a lot. This is I'm going into year 4 with Brockton. I started out in 2017, just kind of thought it might be a one-year thing. The ownership group is phenomenal. Chris English is such a great guy to work for. Tom Tracy, who used to be in the dugout with us, and now he's taken over as general manager. I love those guys. They've meant the world to me. They've helped me out along the way in my career. Brockton's a great place to play. We all have big crowds and small crowds in the league. But you play at Campanelli Stadium on a Friday night prior to all this, and we'd have 4,000 people cheering you on. It's a blast, and the Futures League in general just it holds a special place for me. I mean, I think what Chris Hall started and now Joe Palucci's taken over, the fact that it's always the players first. I think we all by nature, including the front offices, the coaching staff, the players, we're all competitive. We all do this because we want to compete. We like to win. But at the end of the day, we all make sure that we're putting the players' health and success first. And I think that that's one of the things that I cherish the most about the Futures League is, at the end of the day, it's about the impact you can have on your players. And to know that we're setting guys up for success, that they can go in and be the most dominant version of themselves when they get back to campus is really cool. I mean, for me, watching Nick Sinicola pitch last summer was awesome. But then knowing that he was the opening day starter for Maine this year and he was their Friday guy and led the America East in strikeouts, that means more to me than winning 35 games in the summer. We want to win, but it's great when those guys are having success. It makes you feel really good and really happy for the kids.
Well, we're really excited to see what's in store for year 4. Backtracking to 2019. So you guys finished 31-23. You were tied at the top of the league with Bristol. In the playoffs, suffered a first-round exit to Worcester in a winner-take-all Game 3 at Campanelli, and they were eventually crowned champions. What motivation do you take into this summer following that playoff loss and, especially with some of the guys returning that have that same chip on their shoulder?
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, it's going to be a little bit different because this year it's going to be more of a sprint with only 40 games. And I say, marathon and 56 games. It's not a long season, but 56 for these guys is a lot. So I've always been more of a, it's the marathon, not the sprint. And we would approach it day by day. There were a couple times last year we'd lose 3 games in a row. And I think for me as a manager, I personally try to maintain an even level at all times. I don't want people to know if we've won 10 in a row or lost 10 in a row. It's going to be a little bit different this year. So I think for us, it's going to be, we got to get out of the gate quickly. We know how talented the league is. Worcester did it. They had a great job to them last year. Kudos to them. They outplayed us in that series. And I think for us, we just want to move forward, and it's a new year. We do have a lot of guys back, but there's also a lot of guys that don't know anything about last year. So I think there's always that internal motivation that you want to be the best. And that's going to kind of be what pushes us forward here, is just making sure that we're trying to play our best baseball day in and day out.
In terms of your coaching experience, you're the pitching coach at Plymouth State, and you also were the pitching coach at one point for the Rox, but you were also a Rox hitting coach. So how do you balance your expertise in pitching with your expertise in hitting when talking to these players?
Yeah, I'd say I wouldn't really consider myself an expert in either. I'm more of a jack of all trades. So I was a catcher by trade. My first year in Brockton as a pitching coach was my first experience as a pitching coch. I had worked with pitchers. I'd give pitching lessons before. But I was always more of a positional guy, just having played catcher and a little bit of third base. But for me, it's just I think it's nice to be able to relate to both sides of the ball. My I guess you would say my expertise is pitching. That's what I handle at school. So I'm much more hands-on with the pitching staff during the summer. For me, it's not so much about coaching them as much as guiding them in the summer, because all of these guys are coming to us with a goal and something that they were given to work on by their collegiate staff. So for me, it's basically just trying to shepherd those guys in the right direction and make sure that they're not getting in their own way and they're not getting injured. As far as the hitters, it's really the same thing. I don't really talk to them too much about their swing. If they come to me and there's something that they ask me if I see, we'll talk to them about it. But again, it's mostly getting video for guys and sending it back to their schools and make sure that they're accomplishing what they were set out to work on. Ultimately, I'm big on just letting the guys go out and play. I mean, for me, it's I'm going to do more harm than good if I'm there trying to coach him up in the middle of the game. Just go out and let your natural ability take over. And I consider, a good coach to be the guy that gets out of the way and let his guys do their thing.
So in terms of your playing experience, you were a 2-year captain at Kingswood Regional High School, and you were first-team All-State selection your senior year in New Hampshire. You kind of touched on it, but what skills as a catcher do you bring that helps you relate to pitchers having not played that position? And as a player, how do you translate and kind of look back on the coaches that you've had experiences with and try to take those lessons now to your players?
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up loving the position of catcher. I really like being involved. I never really wanted to be a pitcher, but I didn't like the inactivity. I mean, we'll say it. There's inactivity in the game when you're playing shortstop. You might not get a ball all game. So, I grew up fortunate enough that I got to watch some really great catchers. We used to go to the Portland Sea Dogs games a lot when I was a kid. So we saw like Charles Johnson and Mike Redmond, who were two guys that had terrific big league careers. And then being a New England guy, I just absolutely cherished watching Jason Varitek. So for me, the thing that I loved the most about Tech was he always took pride in getting his pitcher through a game. And, if he hit 280 with 15 home runs, you took that as a cherry on top. So that was kind of, for me, personal. That was what I wanted. If I could get my starting pitcher through a game and he had us in position to win a game and I got a hit here or there, great. But it was more about helping my teammate get through a game and putting us in a position to be successful. And I think that's kind of translated to my coaching. It's not so much about, what can I do to make sure we're all getting, first team all state accolades or all conference, but it's what can I do to help that pitcher get through the lineup enough to give us a chance to win. So that's kind of how I approached my position as a catcher and translated it to my pitching coach days. But yeah, I was super fortunate that I had a lot of coaches that gave me a lot of responsibility. I was fortunate enough to never really play for a coach that called pitches. They let me do my own thing and call my own game. And that's something that I've done as a coach. I let the pitchers and catchers call their own game. I think there's something to be said for learning on your own. If I call a pitch that you're not confident in and you give up a hit, you're not going to trust me. If you throw a pitch that you want to throw and you give up a 700-foot home run, if you can come in and give me an explanation as to why you threw that pitch, all right, maybe it wasn't the right reason, but you had a reason. So I think there's some value in taking ownership for what you're doing on the field. And I think, that was beneficial to me. So that's kind of how I've approached my career as a coach. I want the guys to go out and succeed and fail on their own. And I just want to be there as a safety net for them.
Sure. Very valuable mentality. Touching on your other athletic abilities. So you also played football in high school. You were an all-state selection as a defensive back in 2004. What was that experience like?
I loved it. There's times that I miss playing football a little bit more than baseball. There was something about those Friday Night Light games, where you're out there and the whole school and the whole town is there. And it's some of the best times of my life. Some of my best friends were guys that I didn't play football or I didn't play baseball with. They were football teammates. And, you go through those 2 days in August and you're sweating and you're bruised and you're bleeding. And then, you go shower, you go to lunch, you go for a swim, and you come back for the second practice of the day. So, my best friend was, I played quarterback and my best friend was the running back and we played in the defensive backfield together. He was the best man at my wedding. So that was such a fun time there. I look back on those 4 years of playing football as some of my favorite times for sure.
How was your trash talk game? Because I know that football, there's a lot of talk all over the field.
Yeah, I had a big mouth. Not something that you could do in the baseball field so much. You kind of have to be a little bit more reserved. It's funny. I tell people a lot of times I was like, it was almost like I had split personality. I would flip a switch when it was time for the game to start. I was a big trash talker. Talked a lot of smack on the football field.
Well, you walk the walk and you also talk the talk, given that selection.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the thing. I feel like I was able to back it up a little bit, and that's the hope. You don't want to talk it if you can't back it up.
Should we warn opposing managers about your trash talk this year?
I hope not. I think on the baseball field, I'm actually a pretty even-keeled guy. And we actually have a great relationship with the other managers in the league. There actually might be trash talk, but it's more sarcastic and in fun. K-Jax up in Nashua is a really good friend of mine. I actually played AAU baseball for Kyle's father's program, the New Hampshire Grizzlies. Kyle's a couple years older than me, but so Kyle and I have a great relationship. I love Alex Dion and Worcester. So hopefully I won't be talking too much trash to those guys, but you never know. We're all pretty competitive guys.
Andy, you also coached the All-Star game last year. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and what was that like to get all the league's best together and coach them all in one place? That
was so much fun. I kind of had an inclination going into the start of the weekend that there was a shot that I could do it. The night before the All-Star game, we were playing Pittsfield, and we were a half game behind Pittsfield, and we already knew that Odie was going to be managing one of the teams. So Getty and I were were basically coaching for the All-Star bid. And that's probably the one time in my life on a baseball field I'm like, you know what? I'm okay if we lose. Getty can be the manager in his home ballpark. That would have been really cool. I think we ended up blowing him out that night. Getty was like, you got to coach tomorrow. Like, I'm going to kick back. But honestly, it was a blast. I mean, what an honor to be on the field. That's one of my favorite mementos. I actually kept the dugout card and the lineup card from that game. You never know. You hope there might be a big leaguer or two from that game, and there's a high probability with the talent that was on that field. What a blast! I mean, Wacona Park is one of the true gems in New England. Pittsfield, those fans always show up. They always show out. It was a great environment. It was a great day. And then to get to shoot the breeze with those guys during the scout day and during the home run derby, you get to hang out with a guy like Angelo Baez who you compete against, or a guy like Jackson Peterson who you compete against, and you're like, man, it's really nice to just be able to talk baseball with these guys and hear about their experience this summer and what they've enjoyed and what they're studying in school and where they're from. So it was great. It was more of a team award because it was, our team had won the second most games at that point. So, I was thankful that my guys got me there. But yeah, what a blast. So much fun, and really looking forward to watching the career of those guys that played in that game, and hopefully we get a few big leaguers out of that.
And I'm sure it was also super rewarding to see your boy Nick Sinicola take the bump too as a starter. Sure, it was kind of like a proud managerial moment, but he had an awesome inning. I believe he had 2 strikeouts in his first inning work. How cool was that?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. There were so many guys that were deserving of that start. I think, once I found out that I was going to start, though, it just meant the world to me to be able to give the ball to my guy. I think that's, one of the things that when you do manage an all-star game, you do get to kind of reap some of the benefits. And, we were fortunate. I think we had 7 or 8 all-stars that day, but Nick had been a guy to that point that had really gotten us there. I mean, super dominant in the first half. So proud of his success. And I said to him on the bus, I said, hey, you want the ball? You want to start? And, he was like, heck yeah. I could ask him that any day of the week and he's going to say, heck yeah. But it meant the world to be able to give him the ball and then to watch him go out and kind of, reaffirm what we thought, that he was one of the best pitchers in the league with 2 strikeouts against the best hitters in the league. It was so much fun to watch, and it's fun to watch Nick pitch every time, but that night was really special.
I'm sure. You also touched on the scouting day and enjoying the time you spent with the players. How do you view the setup that the league has this year, where you and Worcester are going to be sharing a scout day and just, have the players still get an opportunity to get looks from scouts in that early August window?
Yeah, it's great. That was one of the things that we were most concerned about when we knew that we were going to lose the All-Star game, was a scout day. That's honestly one of the biggest days of the year for us. We had a player in my first year in Brockton, 17, Aldrich DeJong, who he ran something bananas, like a 6.4 60 at the pro day, and got swarmed. Like, the scouts ran right up to him. And then the following year, he got drafted in the 18th round by the Dodgers. So, I mean, it can make or break a chance at a guy's career. So, phenomenal job by the league being able to make that happen in those 3 days. It means the world to us as coaches because, ultimately that's what I'm doing this for this summer and every summer. We're doing it because we want to win, but we're doing it because we want every single guy that throws a uniform with the FCBL logo on it to get an opportunity to follow their dreams and further their careers. So I think it would have been a big disappointment if we weren't able to make it happen. And the fact that Joe and the rest of the guys in the league were able to put this together means the world. So hopefully we get those guys out there in front of the scouts and they're able to show what they can do, and it gets them that next step in their career.
Yeah, and a big part of this league is showcasing all levels of the college game, including the D2 and D3 guys who might not get as many looks. So we are obviously very happy too with the Scout Day, and that should be a lot of fun in the beginning of August.
Yeah, I think it means the world to those guys more than the D1. I mean, it means a lot to all of them, but those Division III guys, again, going back to my first year in 17, we had Mike McCaffrey, who was a pitcher from Division III Wesleyan, and Joe Silva, who was an outfielder from Division III Concordia, Chicago. And they were the pitcher of the game and the player of the game in the All-Star game. And I think it was a 1-0 game. 2 Division III guys that got to showcase their stuff before the game and then again in the game. Those guys cherish that because they might only play in front of 40 people, and 17 of them are grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, aunt, uncle. So those guys, that's a really big draw. I know last year we had a couple of guys that weren't participating in the All-Star game that came along to participate in the Scout Day because they were Division II, Division III guys that were upper 80s pitchers and, hoping to maybe pop a 90 and get that chance to be seen. So it's a really big thing for the league. It's one of the big selling points when we try to get players here.
Yeah, and kind of coming back to the present day, how about a message to the Brockton fans as we get ready for the season?
Yeah, we're still waiting on the word, but we're hoping that we'll be able to see you guys at the park soon. We value you guys. We cherish the support that we get day in and day out in the summer, and hopefully we can see you. We're waiting on the word, and hopefully we get the go-ahead to get you guys out to the ballpark and have some fun. We know everyone's jonesing for some baseball, so we hope we can provide some fun and some entertainment for you soon.
Yeah, and it's coming up this week. When this releases, it's going to be 3 days until opening night, so we're jazzed about it, and, fingers crossed for player safety and good weather. So, amen to that. So we now move on to our final segment. It is called Quick Hits. It's presented by Zephyr, the official on-field hat of the Futures League. Zephyr, high quality and innovative designs since 1993. So, Andy, this has been an awesome interview so far. But we got a couple more questions for you. I'm sure you're familiar with the segment now, having listened to all the episodes. So we want our audience to get you a little bit more familiar with you, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. Favorite player that you've had a chance to play with or manage over the years?
This is my least favorite question because it's like picking your favorite child. So I have a guy that he's going to play for Nashua this summer, played for Nashua last summer, but he played with us in Brockton in 18. Jack Arend is a guy that Jack and I text a couple times a month still. We're both New Hampshire guys, both Division III guys, both catchers. Two of the most sarcastic people you're ever going to meet. I love Jack. The only difference between Jack and I is he's still not tall enough to ride the rides at Disney World. And I tell him that, but no, he's a guy that we just razz each other constantly. I'll razz him from our dugout when he's at the plate. He razzes me. I went out to make a mound change last year, and I stumbled a little bit coming out of the dugout, and he was chirping me from the dugout. So I have a lot of favorites that I've played with and that I've coached, but Jack is a guy that we're really close still, even after 2 years ago, when he was in Brockton. And I love the kid. He's one of my favorites that I've ever been around.
Favorite opposing FCBL ballpark?
Whew, it's a tie for me. It's Nashua and Worcester. I love Holman Stadium, the historic feel, the ballpark. It's the only park that we play in New Hampshire, being a New Hampshire guy. But man, it's fun to play at Worcester. Any night of the week, there's going to be anywhere from 3,000 to 5,500 people there. They're super in tune to the game. They're completely engaged. They're not just there on their phones. They're watching. And the post-game spread there is always great.
We'll get to that in a second. We got a little game day meal question. But before that, what was your walk-up music that you had as a player, whether it be, in college, maybe if you didn't get a chance to have one, what was one that you would have? Just, walk us through what kind of tunes you'd throw on.
Yeah, so I shifted them pretty frequently, but the one I used the longest was All the Above by Mano and T-Pain. I think it was like a 2007, 2008. That was the one that I used the most frequently, but yeah, I was a big change it, maybe not every year, but maybe once or twice a year. If I was in a little bit of a slump, I'd change it for a week or two, but that was the dominant one that I used the most.
Okay. And I feel like you already answered this for us when we talked about Veritek and the Sea Dogs, but favorite major league team?
Yeah, big Red Sox fan. Yeah, I'm a baseball fan in general. I'll watch any game with any team, but rooting interest, big time Red Sox fan.
Yeah, and training camp's coming up this week.
Yeah,
players will be back at Fenway.
Yeah, let's go.
Favorite player in the big leagues, could be current or historical.
Yeah, for me, I think it's probably Veritek. When I was a kid, I was a huge Sammy Sosa guy growing up. This was before the corked bat and the steroids. I was a little guy, right in the heart of that summer chase with McGuire and Sosa, and Sammy used to do the kiss and the jump when he hit a home run. So my first jersey was that blue Cubs with the bear on the chest. I had the Sammy Sosa jersey. So loved Sammy growing up, but then all the bad stuff started to come out. So I think Veritek has pretty much always been my guy.
Sure. Did you get a chance to see Long Gone Summer, the 30 for 30 on McGuire
I didn't.
and Sosa?
No, I missed it, but it's definitely I've got it saved and it's queued up for when I get a chance to give it a watch.
Awesome. I don't want to give any spoilers. I haven't seen it, but I have heard they focus a lot more heavily on McGuire and kind of Sammy takes a back seat. But I'll let you be the judge of that when the time comes.
That was kind of the whole summer. It was Mark was kind of in the lead there the whole way. So Sammy was like a little bit of the forgotten man until they came down the stretch. So that sounds about right.
Sure. And also fantastic jersey too. That blue Cubs one, iconic. Bat and glove that you would use when you were playing.
Yeah, big Louisville slugger guy. Love the Louisvilles. The 271 is my bat for sure. I love that. And then the Rawlings Pro Preferred is just the best. Love the All-Star catcher's mitt. Didn't get it until a little bit later in my life, though. I was always a Rawlings guy. So, yeah, Rawlings and Louisville slugger, kind of the classics.
What about cleats? What cleats were you lacing up?
I was a Nike guy. New Balance wasn't in the game yet, so I'm a big New Balance turf guy now. I only wear New Balance, but when I was playing, it was Nike. Reebok was big then. Still, I don't know if Reebok's in baseball anymore, but yeah, I was a big Nike guy. I love the Huaraches.
And what about a baseball nickname that you've developed over the years?
Nothing major. It was basically just AT, just my initials. Yeah, that was really it.
Nice and simple. How about superstitions, whether as a coach or as a player?
Never step on the lines. Never step on the lines. Other than that, not too much. I guess I say not too much, but I guess not too much in the baseball realm. Never step on the lines. I always got dressed the same way. It was always left foot, left arm first. If I taped my wrist, it was left wrist first, then it was the right wrist. As I got a little bit older, I started to get weird with my bats. If I was like 0 for 2 or 0 for 3, it was not my fault. It was the bat's fault. I might be swinging through a fastball down the middle, but that wasn't my fault. It was always the bat. So, yeah, I got a little bit weird towards the end there, but I think we're all a little weird.
Yeah, you got to blame the bat.
It's always the bat.
Yeah, it's always
for sure.
Yeah. It's why I'm not in the bigs right now. I never had a good bat.
And then how about, you mentioned game day meals. How about your favorite game day meal that you either ate as a player or now in the FCBL?
I think the classic is Chick-fil-A. Anytime we're on the road and we get Chick-fil-A after a game, that's the best. But anything they serve at Worcester it's always phenomenal. The Cretans do such a great job. So we like going to Worcester. Any meal that we get at Worcester is a good meal.
And then bubblegum or sunflower seeds, what's your preference?
Not too big on either, but definitely more of a seed guy.
Any flavor or brand in particular?
I do like the Davids, and I go back and forth. I like the barbecue big time. That's probably my go-to, but can't complain with the ranch either.
Both very popular answers.
Yep.
And then final question for you. How about a favorite all-time baseball memory?
So this one's a little bit of a story. So I was fortunate back out in the early 2010s. My wife was getting her master's at Northwestern. We were living in Chicago. And at that time, I was working full-time at a facility, coaching travel teams and giving lessons. And we had a great facility, and we'd have anywhere from a half dozen to 10 big leaguers in there in the winter working out. So his last year when he retired, Kerry Wood was coming in there to work out. And I actually got to catch Kerry Wood's bullpens before he left for spring training. And I've been around quite a few big leaguers, but it's the first time in my life that I've been starstruck because I'm a bit of a historian, and you can count on one hand the number of guys that have struck out 20 hitters in a big league game, and Kerry Wood's in that group. So being back there catching Kerry Wood throwing a bullpen was probably the coolest experience that I've ever had around baseball. So much fun to be back there and watch that guy go about his craft.
Now, did he throw you any junk that you couldn't handle? Did he try to take it easy on you? Did you feel it in the hand the next day?
No, he let me have it, but I tell you what, he learned. I think the year before he got traded from Cleveland to New York for the Yankees for the stretch run, so he had actually learned the cutter from Mariano. So he threw me a cutter, and for the first 49 feet, I'm like, this is not a good pitch. And then in the last 6.5 feet, it darted 18 inches, and I was like, I think I barely got the web on it, and I was like, oh, that's a big league cutter. But no, he was great, man. He was just getting his work in, and it was there was a little bit of soreness in the hand the next day. He could still throw it a little bit, but yeah, to see that cutter, I was like, all right, now I know why guys have a hard time hitting in the big leagues.
Hardest thing to do in sports, they say.
No doubt.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for joining us today. This was tremendous. Best of luck with everything, and we're really excited to visit and hopefully see you soon at Campanelli.
Yeah, thank you again, guys, for having me. This was a blast. It was fun talking to you guys. Keep doing this, as well as you are. This has been great for the league, and I know I had a blast today, and I'm sure that everyone's looking forward to getting on here and talking to you guys. This is great exposure for our players and for our league. So thank you for that, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words, and we're telling everyone to subscribe. We're streaming on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We got releases on Monday and Thursday. But for now, this has been episode 10 of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures Collegiate Baseball League. As we mentioned, episodes coming out Monday and Thursday. Nick Sinacola's been on here. Andy Theriault's been on here. So we got the Brockton presence going a little bit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.